also on the call. We will be discussing study unit 13, current liabilities. On the screen, which I'll share now, will be exercise 13.3. Just some house rules before we start. During the call, if you have any questions, please just put it into the chat box, and we will, after each required section, answer your questions. Please, I think you're all muted. Yeah, just have the session, make use of the session, participate, and ask if anything is unclear, and really want to encourage you to participate in the session happening now. Just want to maybe introduce my colleagues to you, if they can put up their hands and unmute themselves. I'll maybe hand over to Amy, if we can unmute Amy. Okay, I should maybe just start the call. I'll share my screen now. Okay, so, and please just, if it's too small, just, put it into the chat box. Let me know if you can see, if anything is unclear. I think I'll just put this on presentation mode as well. So well, like I said, we'll be focusing on study unit 13, current liabilities, exercise 13.3. I like to always start with the required section first in the question. And this helps you to identify what's the information you need to look out for when you start going through the information provided. So there were 3 required in this question. The first bit was prepare the trade payables control account in the general ledger for September 22. The second required was prepare the corrected accounts of the creditors in the trade payables ledger. And the last required was prepare a list of the adjusted trade payables balances as at 30 September 22. I see a few hands going up. I don't know if there's anyone that, I think it's my colleagues. I will just continue. So in the information given, they gave us the list of creditor balances as at the 30th of September 22, as per the trade payables ledger. So there were 4 creditors, and the total amounted to 35,683. What they also gave us was the balance of the general ledger as at 31st of August 22, which was 47,072, highlighted in purple there. Then what they also have given us for information purposes was some of the balances, like your purchase journals, your sales journals, and then the values you can see on the screen. Now, they've also given us additional information, and this is additional information given is there to help you correct the balances that they've given us. So they were, point A to point F are issues identified which has not been adjusted for in the numbers that they gave us. So we need to now go and make these changes and correct the balances. So the additional information given The first one, they said a credit note of 353 received from S. Ismail in respect of goods returned was correctly entered in the purchase returns journal but posted to the wrong side of S. Ismail's account. I think someone is not muted on the call. If we can just mute, please. Thank you. The second part was an invoice of 286 in respect of goods purchased from Al Brandt was honestly omitted from the purchase journal. Point C, according to the monthly statement received, interest of 45 Rand has been charged on the overdue account and the entry has not yet been made. According to the trade payables ledger account, point D, C Roo's account was 14926. An amount of wages paid, 880, was analyzed to the trade payables column in the cash payments journal. No correction has yet been made. And the last point, the purchase journal was overcast by 1,000 Rand, which means that the total amount is more than it should be. Undercast means the total is less than it should be. So what I've tried to do when looking at the required A, so prepare the trade payables control account in the general ledger for September 22. I've color coded where I got the balances so you can see where it's coming from in the information provided. So this is a typical T account for trade creditors. We will start with your opening balance at 1 September and the balance of 47,072 was given to you in the information provided. 47,072, that was the closing balance end of August 22. So that's the opening balance, color coded in that pinkish color. Then, now because we have purchases that we bought on credit during the month of September, that will increase our trade creditors. So when a liability increase, we credit it. So the credit year, the 96282, was also given to us in the balances provided, and I color coded in that dark green number there. Then in the additional information that they gave us, they said there was an overcasting error of 1,000 Rand. And I just want to show you where I got that. The purchase journal was overcasted. So the 96282 was wrong. It's too much. So we need to reduce that number by 1,000 Rand. Okay. Now, also in the additional information given, they said in point C that the monthly statement received from J Zulu, there's interest on it of 45 Rand. So now that interest, the entry for that would be debit your interest expense and credit trade creditors, 45 Rand. So the 45 Rand will increase the balance that you owe to that creditor. Then the wages correction of 880 was also given in the additional information in point E. An amount of wages paid was analyzed to the trade payables column in the cash payments journal. So that basically means that... Oh, sorry, I think we need to mute someone on the call, please. So the 880 was actually included in this 105,358 in the payments number. So to correct that, we need to credit the trade creditors with 880 because we didn't actually get that cash. It was for wages. Okay. Then the purchases of 286 was also in the additional information given. An invoice of 286 in respect of goods purchased from Albrandt was honestly omitted from the purchase journal. So this means that our purchases is too low, the dark green number. We need to still add that into the trade creditors number. So therefore, I credit trade creditors by increasing the liability. Okay. Then if we go to the debit side of trade creditors, purchases returns, that's when we bought supplies on credit and it might be faulty or for whatever reason we are returning it. So then we don't owe that balance to the creditor anymore and we need to reduce our liability. And that's the light green number 2899. And that's also in the information provided 2899. Then the 105358 was also given to us in the information given cash payments journal, trade payables column 105358. Then to get to your total or the balance brought forward, you just add or you sum all the credits and you deduct your debits, the 2899, 105358, and then you get your balance brought forward of 35308. So that's your balance on 1 October then for trade creditors. So what is important to note here is we now need to make sure that your balance in your general ledger account for trade creditors, that this balance agrees to your trade payables listing of all your individual creditor accounts. If we just look at the information given, you can see here the total at the moment is 35683, but that list is incorrect and incomplete. We're going to fix it now in the next required section so that it aligns and agrees back to the 35308. So then if I continue to part B of the question, we need to prepare the corrected accounts of the creditors in the trade payables ledger. So we had the 4 creditors, Albrandt, S. Ismail, C. Roo, and J. Zulu. They gave us the amounts, which is the accounts rendered 6424, and that is also agreeing to this listing here in the front. S. Ishmael is 10285. They've given us that number. And then C. Roo is 14926. They've given us it's there on the listing. And J. Zulu is 4048. But those were now the incorrect listing. Now we need to apply the changes based on the additional information given to us. So the first correction we made here is to Albrandt, the 286. And if I can just go back, what was the 286? It said an invoice of 286 in part B in respect of goods purchased from Albrandt was omitted from the purchase journal. So we need to add that to the amount that we owe Albrandt. So our new balance for Albrandt is then 6424 plus 286. And that gives us the 6710. The next one would be S. Ishmael, the 10285, but there's a correction needed for the 706. And how I got the 706 was, I just want to see, I think it was in point A. Yes, so point A, they said a credit note of 353 received from S. Ismail in respect of good returned was correctly entered into the purchase returns journal but posted to the wrong side of S. Ismail's account. So what we did incorrectly, we said credit his account with 353. So now we need to reverse that. So when we reverse that, we debit that. So we then say 10285 less 353. But then, then we just only on a net zero number. Now we still need to bring in the actual return. So you further need to decrease it by 353. So essentially 353 times 2. That's the 706 debit that you see there. So the first part of it is to reverse the incorrect entry, the credit that we posted to his account. And then the second part is to actually bring in the return.
Hi, Nicolene. Sorry, apologies to interject. The
Yeah.
students are asking that you zoom in your screen just a little bit, please. It is
Okay,
quite small
sure.
even from my side.
Oh, okay. Um, let me just see if I can zoom in it any further. Yeah, I can. That's perfect. Okay, let's see if that helps a bit. Is this better? I increase it to 150% now. I don't know if that helps.
I'll let you know depending on the comments. Thanks.
Okay, perfect. So then to get is Ismail's new balance, we say 10285 less 706, and his new balance is then 9579.
Sorry, Nicolene, me again. The students are asking that you go a little bit slower, and they're asking if you can analyze the additional information given and why things are being debited and credited.
Okay, cool. So if I can go back to the 286 maybe, the additional information given. So an invoice of 286 in respect of goods purchased from Al Brandt was honestly omitted from the purchase journal. So this means that number is not yet in that account that we owe to Al Brandt. So we need to bring that number in. So it means we owe Al Brandt more than the 6424. So we need to say 6424 plus 286, and that gives us the 6710. Okay? As Ishmael, they've given us this balance of 10285 on the listing, but what they've given us in the additional information given is they said there was a credit note of 353, a credit note which was issued to for the return of goods. So when there was a return of goods, it means that we need to reduce the balance that we owe to that creditor because we gave those the supplies back to the creditor. But in point A, they said we posted it to the wrong side of the account. So what it means then, it means that in this 285 number, we accidentally included that credit there, whereas we should have debited S. Ishmael's account to decrease the balance. So now that credit is sitting in the 10285. And to take that out, we need to first debit it. So then we are on a zero, okay? But then we need to reduce it to actually bring in the return. And that's why you have the 706. So there's two elements in getting that return correctly reflected in the S. Ismail account. C. Roo was easy. We just had the balance of 14,926. And then the last one was J Zulu.
Apologies, Nicolene. Apparently the screen is too small on the ledger. I also think it is a bit small. Can you maybe try zoom in again? Thank you.
I'll see if I can. I'm already like on 130% now. Let's see if it helps a bit. I don't know if that
Much
helps.
better. Yeah, much
Oh,
better. Thanks.
okay, great. Then the last one would be for J Zulu. So J Zulu, the balance given was 4048. But in the information, in the additional information given, they said that we received a statement from J Zulu and J Zulu raised interest of 45 Rand on the overdue account. That means that we are owing J Zulu more than what we actually have in our current books because they've raised interest on our overdue account, which is normal in practice. So in order to bring that in, then we need to increase our balance of what we owe the creditor. So we have then 4048 plus 45, which gives us the 4093 balance. Okay. Now that is part B. And then part C, you basically just take all the balances that we did in part B and you summarize it to get your listing correct now. So L brand is 6710 and we got it here. There's the 6710 from part B. is Ishmael 9579 is also from part B 9579. And then Siru, the 14926, where we didn't had any adjustments, 14926. And then J Zulu, we also have we had the adjustment, and that gave us the 4093. And there we go, 4093. Now, if we add all these totals together, we get 35,308. Now that 35,308, if we go back to part A, the required, agrees 100% now. So that's what you should always make sure that your trade creditors general ledger account agrees back to your listing, because your listing basically summarizes all the balances of your creditors, and your creditors listing should agree back to your trade payables general ledger account. I've just highlighted or included a star here so that you can see this number agrees back to what you see here on the general ledger 35308. And that was the three required questions for question exercise 13.3. If there are any questions, you're welcome to raise it into the chat box now, and we'll be willing to assist you. I think someone asked these activities are available where? So if you go to study unit 13, it would be in your study material in exercise 13.3. Yeah. I don't know if there are any further questions. I see there's a hand up from Willem Skalk Creer. If we can maybe unmute him and then we can And so I'm just going to continue. So I see section A. Can you do the breakdown of the settlement discount received and bank? Settlement discount received.
I'm trying to unmute Willem. I'm struggling. I don't know what's wrong.
I just want to see the revision exercises on page 10. In study unit 13, you will see exercise 13.3. There will be a recording also available after the call for all of you to listen to the class again. And then someone is asking, why is the overcost of R1,000 on the credit side? So let me just go back here. So the purchase journal was overcost by R1,000. So this means that this number here, the 96282, it's too much. It should have been 95282. So that balance is wrong. So then if I go back here, to reduce that, you just take the 96,282 and you deduct R1,000 from that to fix that error, to get us to the correct purchase number, which is 95282. And then I see, why are we saying Roo didn't have adjustments, whereas at the beginning, and there was additional info. At the beginning, it was 19,426. Just want to see that. 19,426. 19. Sorry, I'm seeing 14,926. I don't know where I have it wrong. According to the trade payables ledger, the correct balance on CRU's account is 14,926. So I think the listing probably had the wrong number in. We can just maybe check on exercise 13.3, but there were no adjustments to his account. The balance should just be 14,926. And in the updated listing, it is also 14,926, so that we can get this total to agree back to the general ledger account. And then I see accounting is easy when you guys are around, but come exam and it become a horror movie. I'm sorry about that. I can only have sympathy for you and hope that the classes will help you in the exam. Is trade payable not decreasing on the debit side? Yes, it is. In this case, they just told us that the balance of the purchases that we bought on credit, it was wrong. There was a calculation error, so we had to reduce that balance. So 96,282, it should have been 95,282. So we just need to fix that number. But normally when we have payments or we have returns, absolutely 100% correct. It's a debit to your trade creditors so that you can reflect a lower trade creditors balance. I'm still not answered for the 1,000. Mafi, Maria, I don't know if I answered your R1,000 now. Then the R1,000 should be on the debit side. No, not in this case. They've just told us. So there was a calculation issue made when they summarized the purchases. So the balance was wrong. So we need to reduce that balance that they've given us in the trade creditors. We just need to fix the amount. I don't know if that makes sense. Yes, Mafi, so you're saying we can put it to the credit side, but put a negative sign next to it. Yes, absolutely right. And that's how the solution also have it. If you go to your study unit 13.3, And then I see someone else said, please explain the wage transaction again. So the wages, let us go back to the wages. An amount of wages paid, 880, was analyzed to the trade payables column in the cash payments journal. Okay, so what they said here, let us just go back to this year. So in this number here, in the 105,358, there's wages included there of 880 rand. But the wages should have never formed part of your trade creditors. So in this example, we would have said credit trade creditors and debit wages because it's an actual payment for wages and not for trade creditors. So that's why we say credit trade creditors and debit your wages 880. It should never have been in that column in your cash payments. I hope that makes sense. And then I think it should be correct amount, not 96. I think they want you to put the amount to the creditor to show. I think I've answered the wages question now. I hope that helped. I think that you should put the correct amount, not 96282. 96282. I think they want you to put the amount to the credit side to show what you do, how you calculate it. Will the exam be closed or open book? Closed book. Yes, not allowed to take in additional information into the exam. But I'm sure your tutors and lecturers and all the social groups have already shared that. The adjustment entry C, well, I see here. Okay, so in the information provided, the balance for C RU was incorrectly on the listing. It was 19,426, but we had to fix it in the new listing to change it to 14,926. Okay. You've explained it. I'm just saying they are showing all the steps. Perfect. Thank you, Alwenda. Closed book exam, yes. And why does the bank include settlement discount received? This is all just for information provided. We didn't have to do anything with the settlement discount provided. They will include lots of numbers in a question like this, but you need to know which numbers to pull out and use when you address your question. Why is bank debit on trade payments? Bank is a debit on trade payments because it means it's an outflow of cash. We pay the creditors. So when we pay our creditors, we reduce the balance that we owe to them. It's an outflow of cash. So the entry there would be credit bank and debit your trade creditors 105,358. That's why it's a debit. Will I be wrong if I minus 880 from the bank account? Not in this example, not for the 880 wages, because the 880 has already been recognized in the trade creditors GL account incorrectly. So we need to journalize that 880 to the wages account because it's not yet in wages. And that's why we say credit your trade creditors 880 and debit wages expense 880. We have learned that liabilities decrease on that, but I don't understand why the 1,000 Rand is captured on the credit side. I don't know if any of my peers maybe want to try to also explain the 1,000 Rand. Um, I think what I've picked up and how I understand it is it's just an sum error. So when the accountant added up all the purchases, the accountant accidentally put 96282 to the trade creditors general ledger account, which was incorrect, and we had to fix that error by reducing it to R1,000. I don't know if someone else want to give that a try. So we don't need to include settlement discount received in the bank amount. It's listed as such in the solution. Sorry, I didn't see that. Yeah, I couldn't see. I'll go back to the settlement discount received. I couldn't see that in the solution. I might be wrong, but I'll go back and then update the slides if needed. I still don't know why bank is debited. I don't, I think it's in this example, bank is not being debited. This is just the description. Your trade creditors general ledger account is being debited with 105,358, and your bank account is credited because this is the money that you paid your creditors to settle your creditors' outstanding balance. So it's an outflow of cash. So if there's an outflow of cash, you credit bank and you debit your creditors. The bank here is just the description of what we did in the general ledger. It's not, we're not saying we're debiting bank here. We're debiting trade creditors because we're looking at the trade creditors general ledger account. Absolutely. Someone is asking, why can't you say 96282 minus 1,000 and record that answer? Absolutely, you can. I just split it out for you in the solution so you can see that that was the overcasting error purchases. But yes, you can just put it into one amount, 95282. I think it's good practice to show your workings and what you've done. But yes, you can say 95282. As long as you show your working so that when your exam is marked, the lecturers can see how did you get to your total if you missed anything else. Is the bank contra account for trade creditors? Yes, that's the bank contra account for the payments that we made to creditors. That's correct. I don't know if I have any further questions. Yes, yeah, the amount which is being shown the full. I see we have a hand here from Luwande. I don't know if someone can maybe unmute Luwande.
I'm struggling with the unmuting function on my side, Nicolene. Apologies.
No
Can the
worries.
lecturers please help?
I think Luwande, if you want to maybe just type your question in the chat box, if it's not too long, that can maybe help us to get back to your query. Can you please explain the 286 purchases, please? Yes, I'm happy to do that. An invoice of 286 in respect of goods purchases from L Brandt was omitted from the purchase journal. So that means if we go back to the information given, the 96282 did not include this 286. So we had to bring that in. So the accounting entry depends on what we bought. Maybe we bought inventory. Let's say we bought inventory. So the other side of this entry would be debit inventory and credit trade creditors with 286. So it was just omitted and we had to bring it into the general ledger account now. So that's what the 286 is about. Your purchases, this amount was given to you as 96282. Like I said earlier, You can in this one row just say 96282 less 1,000 rand. That will give you the 95282. There isn't an accounting entry for this 1,000 rand. It was just the balance was wrong and we have to fix it here in the general ledger. But the 286, this is an actual accounting entry, and the other side of this entry would have been probably inventory. It depends on what we bought. If it was inventory or stationery or any other expense that we bought on credit, um, the debit would be either an expense or inventory. Same with the wages. The wages here, the trade creditors should increase, so we credit it, and your other side of that would be debit wages, the expense, 880, because we had to recognize that. And the same with the interest. So we owe the creditors more, so we credit the trade creditors account, we increase our creditors, and the other side of this would be your debit would be interest expense. And on this side, if we have purchase returns, now we're reducing your trade creditors, we're debiting your trade creditors, and the other side of that would be probably inventory. So we will credit inventory because we gave the stock back to the supplier, and then we reduce the asset inventory. And the same with bank. Like I said before, it's an outflow of cash. We're paying our creditors, so we reduce our trade creditors. We debit trade creditors. It's an outflow of cash. And we credit bank. We decrease the asset. I hope that helps. Um, no, the 35308 is not a balancing figure. The 35308, how you get to that number is you say you add 47072 plus 96282 less 1,000 plus 45 plus 880 plus 286, and you deduct 2899 1, and you deduct 105358, and that gives you your balance of 35308. On purchase return, we're receiving money back. Is it why it's a debit? We're not receiving money back. We're just giving the stock back that we bought. If I can use an example, let's say we bought inventory from a supplier, let's say from Ishmael. So now we have the inventory as stock, as an asset, but now we may realize it's faulty and we need to send it back. So what happens then is we will give those goods back to the supplier, to S. Ishmael. That creditor's account will then decrease because we don't owe that creditor that money anymore. But on the other side, we gave the stock back, so your inventory asset will also decrease. That's what the purchase returns is about. Awande. Oh, sorry, cool. Awande, I'm happy. Yes, sorry. Got that. I hope we've answered all the questions now. Are there any further questions?
Seems like we're all good.
Oh, the wages transaction. Okay, let me do the wages again. So we have in the additional information given, they said an amount of wages paid, 880. So that means wages was paid. We did pay the employees, but when we did the payment and we did the cash payments journal, accidentally that 880 rand was was included in your cash payments journal. So accidentally it was included in this 105358. But that's wrong. It shouldn't have ever been there. It was a payment for wages. So it just means that this 105358 is too much. It includes an 880 rand. But how do we reduce that now? So first, we obviously said our trade creditors with the information they've given us. We said we've paid our suppliers 105358, but that's wrong. So because that balance included wages paid of 880, we didn't pay the supplier 880, it was wages. So how do we correct that? We say credit trade creditors because we need to increase the trade creditors. And the other side of that would be debit wages because it was wages that we paid. It wasn't a payment to the suppliers, it was wages. So debit wages and credit trade creditors. I hope that makes sense. Sorry to take you back. Can you explain why the 1,000 rand is on the credit side? Like I said earlier, and you also listen to that in the recording, in the information provided, they just said the total for the purchases was incorrectly costed. It should have never been 96282. You can include both of these in one line, just saying purchases 95282 when you prepare the trade creditors account. I split it into two lines just to show you the principle or just to explain it better. But happy if you include it into one line to show that your purchases is 95282. There was just an overcasting error. The balance should never have been 96282. It should have just been 95282. I'll try again to explain the wages, the 880. So again, in the information given, so cash payments in the trade payables column, they gave us that we paid our creditors 105,358. That is wrong because in the additional information they said 880 rand of wages was included in the trade payables column in the cash payments journal. Cash payments journal, trade payables column. So in this number, there's 880 rand, but that's wrong. We didn't pay a supplier 880 rand. We paid wages for 880. So we bring this 105358 entry in that we paid our suppliers, but we need to reduce that. And how do we reduce that? We do an accounting entry to say credit your trade creditors with 880 and debit wages expense 880 because that's what it is and that's where the 880 should be reflecting. It should not be we should not be decreasing your trade creditors balance with the 880 because we didn't pay a supplier, we paid wages. Exactly, yeah. So your wages have nothing to do with the creditors. Exactly. Yeah, that's 100% correct. Do we have any further questions? We are also going to upload the slides and the recording will be available for you to listen to after the class. Why is it not posted on the debit? Again, the R1,000, it was just an overcasting error. We had to just reduce the balance. And like I said, you can show this purchases as just purchases 95282. You don't need to split it into two. Um, you can just fix the number. I just included it like that to show you how I got to your purchases. But these two rows that I'm going to highlight now, this is basically your purchases. 96282 less R1,000. That is your purchases from your trade creditors. Does the trade, just want to see, does the trade payables column 105358 include settlement discount received? Because there are two amounts for each element. So the 105358 is directly here from your cash payments trade payables column. Yeah, that's it. Mike, the class is not ending. It's open for you to discuss or ask any questions. Um, we just went through the three required sections. The class started at 6 o'clock and it's now an hour later. But if you have any questions, please post it into the chats and we're happy to answer that. Now for this class, we're only doing exercise 13.3 for current liabilities. There are no further questions to be discussed. I think with corrections or if they give you additional information provided, I think it's always best to understand what went wrong and how you're going to fix it. So with the wages example, where they said that 880 Rand was included in the trade payables column in the cash payments journal. So to explain that, what the entry was that was incorrectly done is it it happened to be credit bank with this 105358 and debit trade creditors 105358. So that was the entry that was posted, but in that balance there's 880 Rand which is incorrect. Now how do we fix that? The 880 Rand should be a wages expense. So in order to correct that, you credit your trade creditors 880 and you debit wages 880. Always think what was done and how should you fix it. Yeah. And it's for me it always helped to just draw T accounts and you can see what did you debit, what did you credit, and how are you going to fix the corrections or how are you going to fix the errors that was made. Please do the question slide for wages. I don't think I understand. I've explained the general ledger account now for the wages. I don't know what else to say there. Thanks for the explanation. Can we please do another example if possible? Also, I think your colleagues should also contribute in answering these questions. That will also give you a moment to catch a breath. Thank you. Good evening. Just wanted to find out if we overpaid a creditor, how do we correct it? So if we overpaid a creditor, it means if I can just think about the accounting entry, it would have been, let's say we owed the creditor 100 Rand, now we paid him 110 Rand. Just an example. So the accounting entry in that case would be debit trade creditors 110 and credit bank 110. Now, how do we fix that? Well, the creditor will, at the end of the month, share a statement with us showing that we overpaid him. Now, the creditor will have to pay us back that additional 10 Rand. So, what the entry then will be is debit bank, because we will get the 10 Rand from the supplier, and credit trade creditors. So, that's the overpayment.
Just to add on that, Nicolene, in a case where the supplier maybe also missed it on their side, the fact that we've incorrectly, shown the amount on the statements, we can also debit a receivable, because now the supplier will owe us against that customer account, and then we'll credit, then we'll credit our trade creditors account instead of debiting bank.
Yeah, I guess just if we get the cash actually back from the supplier because we paid him more, then when they pay us back, it will hit your bank account.
Correct. I was just saying in the case where they haven't paid us back
yes,
yet. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's correct. Then Mike is saying, all right, thank you. I have a question on the purchases and the interest. Please, can you repeat it? I'm happy to do it, but the recording will also be available. The interest was just the supplier said that they're going to raise interest on our account, the amount that we owe them. So now we owe the creditor more than what we're saying we are. And to raise that accounting entry, we will say debit interest expense and credit trade payables because we're owing the creditor more. Trade creditors, trade payables, same thing. It's we use it in the same way. It's the same thing. If we overpay the creditor, we automatically become the creditor and they become the debtor. Yeah, it's just the inverse. So what we do on receivables, correct, until they pay us back. Yeah. Do we have any further questions or can we end the class? And yeah, we will share the slides and the recording will be available afterwards. I think we don't have any further questions. I think someone is saying, yeah, if possible, can we please do another example if possible, please? Also, I think your colleagues, if you want to, maybe just give me an example of what else you want to see or what other examples. I'm happy to do that as well. Can we post questions here after the class if we get stuck? I think it's best practice in 20 if you ask your questions on your eTutor group so that your eTutor can assist you, or you can raise it in your WhatsApp group or any of the other portals available. I think Zinle Ndladla, if you're still available, I think you ask if we can do more examples. I'm happy to do it. I just need some guidance on what it is you want to see, and then I'm happy to assist and explain. So unfortunately, I can't answer any exam related questions. Sorry. I think someone is also saying trade payables control account. I'm not understanding fully there. If you can maybe just elaborate a bit. Trade payables control account, trade payables general ledger, same thing. Yeah. I hope I understand that. And then there's someone was saying there's depreciation calculated using the produce units. Can you explain? I would like to refer you back to the online classes that was presented on depreciation. If you can maybe just listen to that recording. Thank you. And then the exam will be 100 marks in total, covering all study units. Thank you, Clara. Appreciate that. I'm sorry, not understanding the wages entry. Yeah, basically, there's. Yeah. I don't think there's any further examples. It seems like Zinle Ndladla said she was just hoping to assist her peers by looking at more examples. No, you can post in my UNISA for your e-tutor to explain. Yes, thank you. Yes, so
Colin, I think we are done.
okay, cool. Thank you very much. I wish you all the best with your studies and the exams, and really want to encourage you to make use of the e-tutor sites and your WhatsApp groups and all the other um, options available to you for guidance before your exam. I wish you all the best, and yeah, good luck, and thank you for attending the class tonight. Thank you. The recordings will be posted on the MyUNISA site and also be shared by your e-tutors. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.